Hi, this is video number 159. I thought I would come to you from a different room in the house. I've never been in this one before and done a video. This is the combination sewing room, exercise room. There's an elliptical in here, and also my laptop is sitting on a sewing table that I put together for my wife back. I was still not completely well. I was about 17 or 18 months. We went to a place and you had to put it together yourself. It was like it had all the parts and pieces and everything. And it took me an entire day to put it together. She does quilting and sewing and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm going to try to do this. And I got instructions online and from different places, and they were all a little different. Like it took me an entire day, but I actually did it. It was a great accomplishment for me. It was like really the first big thing that I had done since I got well. So sitting here on this quilting table, sewing table. It's she's got her sewing machine here. It's pretty cool. Just got off the phone with one of my buddies, Jason. I had gone with him out to Michigan a couple times to see. The first year we went out to watch Michigan play Penn State. But I also wanted to meet a couple people out there who, one was in withdrawal and one was not in withdrawal anymore. Two ladies. And we met with them and stuff, and the one I had been helping for a number of years. I messaged with her a lot. She had postpartum depression, got on the drugs, yada yada, ended up in withdrawal for quite some time. She did finally get well I think it was right around 3 years actually that she got well. She just had a second baby the end of last month. And she messaged me, and she has, I guess from the pregnancy, she has a herniated disc now in her lower back. Like they think maybe she has sciatica and some other things. But of course, like instead of wanting to give her therapy, they put her on first hydrocodone, because she was telling me, well, I'm on this. I said, well, hydrocodone's not really, that's an opioid. That's not a good thing to be doing. So she went off of that. And then she just told me, I think yesterday, she's on something called methylprednisolone, which is like, it's very close to prednisone. Structurally, they're almost identical. And I told her that could be bad news too. When I was having trouble with my neck, the herniated disc there, they prescribed like weeks of prednisone for me. And I looked it up online, and I had read stories like, it's not a good idea. I don't know. I'm very vigilant now, like when it comes to a number of things about like pills, medications that they prescribe to me, that I just there's no way I want to go back into a withdrawal. So she was asking me about that. She's going to the doctor today. She's having like weakness in her left leg and pain and stuff, and so she's trying to get through that. But I told her, like, I use therapy to get through my thing, and so she's going to have an EMG done today, I think, a test, electromyogram, I think, or something like that, something about nerve conduction in muscles or something. So hopefully that'll show something good. Let me see what else. Let me see. Yeah, Jason, the guy that I went to Michigan with, we're setting up our baseball ticket schedule here for the Harrisburg Senators. He's pretty excited about that. It won't be too much longer. In April, like the beginning of April, the season starts. He called me originally to have, he has 2 tickets to the Hershey Bears hockey game this Saturday. Wanted to know if I wanted to go, so go have dinner and then go watch a hockey game this Saturday. It's been a long time since we've been to a sporting event together. Okay, yesterday at church, this was kind of funny. In our church service, we have a part where we get up and go around and shake hands and greet each other. And there was a guy sitting behind us, and our grandson was sitting with us. He was between us. He was like coloring something, I don't know. He's 6 years old. There was a guy sitting behind us who had, I guess he had a virus for a while, was kind of sick. And so, like, you know, we said, like, heard you were under the weather. I said, yeah, I had a bug, you know. And so my grandson's sitting there, and he's coloring, and here's the word bug. He got up and turned around and said, what kind of bug? He thought he meant like a bug, like a spider or an insect or something. It was pretty funny. That was pretty hilarious. My grandson's into biological things. It's pretty cool. He's going to be the other scientist in the family, I think. Nobody else really has an interest. Okay, I got 3 emails since the last time I was on here. I'm going to go through those a little bit. One of them is kind of different, something I never really actually talked about. I did a little research and so forth, and talk about this one some. Okay, it says, hey Don, after watching your video on tapering multiple meds, I'm reevaluating my taper with the Phenibut. Okay, she's taking Phenibut, which is, I'll talk about that later. I think I mentioned that I have experienced other symptoms that I was not getting before, more anxiety, weird headaches, sharp pains, and so on. I don't want to go to the doctor because they just send you down this path of testing hell, and I don't think I can go there again. Given that you seem to think that the Phenibut might be an okay substance to use while healing from the benzos, I was wondering if you think I should hold off on getting off of it until I heal more from the benzos. I know you mentioned in your video that healing does take place even if we are taking other meds while healing from benzos. I know that all of us feel to some degree that if we are still taking things that we can't fully heal. It's not like I feel horrible or anything. I just woke up this morning and no matter what I do, the anxiety just overtakes me with doom and gloom. I haven't had this in a really long time, and before I was able to manage it better. I don't know why that is, other than it's just another layer of the healing process. Each step seems to feel slightly different than the last. I was wondering what your opinion is about staying on the Phenibut for a while longer and see how my healing process goes. I am currently holding at the dose I am at and will probably do that for a while until maybe the anxiety passes. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Just need some feedback. Thanks. Okay. All right. The question is, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Okay. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I mean, I've said that quite a few times. But Phenibut, this is interesting. Phenibut is what is called a GABA analog, meaning that it is structurally quite similar to GABA. I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to put a picture of like a GABA molecule, a Phenibut molecule, a gabapentin molecule, which is neurontin. Gabapentin is neurontin, and a pregabalin molecule, which is I think that's Lyrica. Okay, I'm going to put like the 4 structures. Like when you're looking at this video, there's going to be those structures there, just so you can like listen to the video and like take a look at what I'm talking about there. Okay, first of all, GABA itself. GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay, it's an organic acid. It's a chain of like 4 carbon atoms. Okay, with various groups attached to it. One is an amino group. That's an NH2 nitrogen. That's a nitrogen group. The acid, that's a carboxyl group. Okay, a carbon bonded to 2 oxygens, and one of them happens to be a hydroxyl oxygen. Okay, so you have these 4 carbons in this group. The gamma of GABA, that's the 3rd carbon out from the carbon that has like the oxygens bonded to it. So that's very important. So in the molecule GABA, okay, the 2nd carbon from the carboxyl carbon is called beta. That's the beta carbon. That's part of the nomenclature of this for amino acids, alpha, beta, gamma carbons. They're the 3 carbons after the carboxyl carbon. So on the beta carbon for GABA, there are 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, that's what makes it GABA. Now, when you look at Phenibut, okay, that is a phenyl GABA. In other words, the GABA molecule is exactly the same molecule, except on that beta carbon, instead of 2 hydrogens, there's a hydrogen and a phenyl group, which is a benzene ring. Okay, that's Phenibut. Now, pregabalin or Lyrica on that beta carbon is an isobutyl group. It's a 4 carbon group. Okay, and on the neurontin or the gabapentin, on that beta carbon, there are 5 carbons attached to it, and it's a ring. It's actually a 6-member ring. Okay, that's what makes these all different. Otherwise, they're all the same. Okay, and part of the reason that you have the gabapentin, the pregabalin, and the Phenibut, like these different groups on the beta carbon, is so that they will cross the blood-brain barrier. They will get into the brain and then do whatever it is they were designed or developed to do. So that's kind of what that's all about. So that's the structure and why GABA itself will not cross the blood-brain barrier. I don't know if it's because it's so soluble or what. I'm not sure why that is, but you can't just go buy GABA at the pharmacy or the drugstore and take it and have it. It won't cross the blood-brain barrier, which in many ways probably is a good idea, because it would almost be like taking benzos then. I mean, I have seen studies where, I think mice studies, where they were inundated, their brains were inundated with just GABA, not a benzo, and they went into like tolerance and dependence. So it's not the benzo itself is not, it causes the receptors to do certain things that they, like it causes like a GABA overload, I think, that the receptor becomes more attractive to GABA, and then so that's how that goes. Anyway, what I want to talk about a little bit here is these other three analogs, the Neurontin, the Lyrica, and the Phenibut, they don't have the same effect on that GABA itself does. Apparently they do not bind to the same part of the receptor that GABA does. In fact, there's a great deal of I guess you would call it confusion or whatever, that they even bind to GABA at all. It's not real clear that they do. However, I have, based on my own experience, I took gabapentin or Neurontin years ago. I took it for quite some time, high doses. It did not have a calming effect. It was not anything like when you take a benzo and you get the inhibitory effect. It wasn't like that. So it was more, it dumbed me up. It made me dizzy and wonky and feel strange. And I'm not sure about like Phenibut and Lyrica. I know people who have taken those, especially like for pain. I know Lyrica, some people will take it for pain, nerve pain. And the commercials, a lot of times, Lyrica is prescribed for that. So my feeling is, from what I've read, from my own personal experience, from what I've seen, and a lot of other people who have taken these three different kinds of things, they don't bind like benzos bind. In fact, they probably don't even bind at the binding site for GABA itself. It does not appear as though they do. So the way I see it is, those three particular things, including Phenibut, don't, if you're on them while you're in benzo withdrawal, I would say stay where you're at, get through the withdrawal. And then, I mean, if you want to try to come off very, very slowly, you don't have a problem, and that's okay. But largely, coming off of these things is very hard when you're in benzo withdrawal. So the question is, what would I do? If I were in withdrawal, I probably wouldn't even be able to think about all of this. So I'm trying to help you here a little bit with that. But knowing this and having a clear brain, and then thinking like, oh, if I'm in benzo withdrawal, I probably would just stay on the Phenibut, the gabapentin, the pregabalin, until my benzo withdrawal was over. I did have like the Remeron. I took the Remeron when I was in withdrawal, and it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I tried to come off a couple times, couldn't do it, but then when I was well from the withdrawal, it was good. I was able to do it. So that's kind of my answer there. I probably would just stay on the stuff until I was feeling pretty decent, and then give it a shot coming off. Okay, that was a long way around there. Okay, much time do I have here? Okay, 14 minutes. Okay, next email. Hi Don, I was up all night watching your videos and trying to catch up. They're inspiring. Help me fill the time since I don't sleep much. I have found that, like, a lot of times if I'm messaging with people at night or send them a video or something, I tend to put people to sleep. I guess that's a good thing when you're in withdrawal. Okay, you mentioned in a few videos that you were able to go out with your wife and walk around stores, go to the church, even go out for dinner with your family. Boy, those are things that I could not do at this point. I have bad agoraphobia, and just going to the doctors is very hard for me. I hope you've heard this before, or maybe I'm more of a mess than I thought. One thing I wanted to ask you, and I struggle with, is the thought of my panic anxiety attacks before ever taking benzos. I started having them when I was 18, and they went from panic attacks that would come and go to full-blown constant anxiety panic. That is why I was put on the Klonopin. I was told by a psychiatrist that my current symptoms are just my original panic coming back as I lower in dose. Now I don't buy that because I hit tolerance, and that theory doesn't explain all my physical symptoms, along with the deep depression that I didn't have before taking Klonopin. I guess my biggest concern is that my panic attacks and anxiety were never really treated. They were just covered up by Klonopin and my alcohol abuse. I have read that many people who take benzos for one reason or another notice when they get off of them, the original problem has gone away. Now maybe I'm being negative, or it's just my crazy benzo brain thinking, but I can't imagine that I'm going to get off this stuff and be panic anxiety free. I worry very much that I will get off the benzos only to endure a lifetime of debilitating panic and anxiety. Maybe you have talked about this in your videos, but I haven't watched them yet. Any thoughts or ideas would be great. Sorry for the rambling. Thanks so much. Okay, there's a good bit here. Let me see. All of the stuff that I was able to do in withdrawal, believe me, it was very, very difficult. Early in my withdrawal, getting out of bed was the most difficult part of the day. And had it not been for my wife, honestly, there would have probably been days I wouldn't have gotten out of bed. She would always, it would get to be like sometime in like 7:30 or something. She would come in and like open the blinds in the bedroom, and like it's a south facing room, so it was like real bright. And I would just kind of like lay there, and I'm shivering in fear. And sometimes she would like grab the covers and pull them off, like time to get up, and she'd be all happy. And I'm thinking like I didn't even have enough in me to like scream and yell, get mad. I just like, oh, do I have to? So that's kind of like, my wife was very, after the first few months, she didn't push me and yell and scream. Like there were some instances early on, but she was one to more nudge me and, come on, you got to do this, you got to do this. And so I would go out to the grocery store with her. It was hard. Going to church was really hard. There got to be a point around, it was probably around a year. I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel much better at all. I'm not going. And there were a couple months there I didn't go. I quit going. I had been going, and then I quit. And then like at about 14, 15 months, I did start actually feel a little better, and then I started going back to church. So that's how that was. You see, what else? What else did I went to dinner Friday nights. That was hard too. But as I've said before, that was my family. I was usually in the middle, and they were kind of like sitting around me. It felt like, I know it sounds weird, it felt like they were kind of like shielding me. They didn't understand what I was going through, but they knew, like, wow, Don's going through something. Dad's going through something bad here. And they were good about that. They were very good, even though I think they thought I was probably mentally ill, but I wasn't. So that's how it was. It was very hard to do those things. Believe me, it was not like, oh, let's just go out and do this and it'll be fine. Like, it was nothing like that. It was, my wife nudged me to do things, and she was very good at getting me to try things, to go out and walk. And there came a time too in my withdrawal I quit walking, that I thought, I'm just not getting better. I can't bear to go out there and be in fear again. So that was harder than maybe I make it sound. I don't know. And I did have the fatigue too, but as I've talked before, I'm used to fatigue, like from working out. I push through like tiredness and pain. So that I had that one, I would do all these things, but the mental stuff was the harder part for me. Okay, doctors saying that like this is your original malady coming back. That's baloney. That's usually baloney. That's not true. They told me that too. You need to be on drugs the rest of your life. Okay, the anxiety and panic before going on the Klonopin or the benzo, that bothers everyone. That bothered me tremendously, because I thought, first of all, I couldn't look back on my past and think of a time that I didn't have anxiety or panic or low mood, or it's like I forgot who I really was in my past, and I just assumed I was just a mess all of my life. I was sure of it. And I did have a lot of fear and anxiety in my past, more than probably most people, just because of the way things were in my family, in my life. And what you have heard is like when you come out of this, that's over. That's true. That's very true. It's almost like benzo withdrawal. It has a curing effect, a curative effect. It's like whatever there was before, your brain has figured out how to get past things that are so much worse that what there was before was nothing. It was like nothing. And as Baylessa has said, I've heard her say it, like she has a backbone of titanium now. And that's true. That is very true. That's how I feel. It's like I'm not afraid. I don't have anxiety. The thing that gives me anxiety is when other people get anxiety and they're freaking out over things that to me are like, you're kidding me. You're upset about that. It's that kind of gives me sort of anxiety, like maybe a little anger. I don't know. So when you come out of this, like, yeah, it's like you're whatever there was before, like you're a different person. You're just transformed. It's almost like you're not the same. You're the same person, but you're not. You're just very, very different. And I'm sure there are neurological reasons for that, and probably spiritual too. I don't know. Okay, so I'm rambling now. Let me see. 21 minutes. Okay, the third email. Hi, Don. Sorry to bother you again. I've just had such a major wave hit since last Wednesday. Okay, I am 14 months off in March 1st, which is Wednesday. Okay, I have been able to drive local and so on. Now I can barely walk from the bedroom to the kitchen. The pain and burning I feel everywhere is horrific. I almost think it is worse than when I finally finished my taper. Have you talked to people who have had this happen? It is so hard to manage, and being alone is so scary. I have such burning in my jaw and ears and head. Does this ever let up? I hope I can hang on until it does. Nothing helps this pain. Thanks for listening. Okay. It does let up. It does let up. And you can hang on until it does let up. And it will. You just get through each day, as everybody who has gotten through this tells you, get through each day, sometimes each minute or hour. You can do this. You'll hang on. You do hang on. You just, somehow we hang on. You have to almost not think about it too much and just get through time. Okay, 14 months on Wednesday. That's good. It's pretty common, like you're able to do certain things in earlier parts of withdrawal, and then for some reason a wave or something hits, and things that you could do and things that you thought had gone return, and sometimes they're pretty intense, but they always do subside again. They do. It's really common. Like for me, most of my withdrawal was very gradual. Well, there was nothing at the beginning, and then I started to gradually improve. In my taper, I stayed at essentially the same level in my taper the whole way through. When I made cuts, it didn't make me feel even worse. I felt terrible the whole way through. When I jumped, it stayed about the same, and then after a month after I jumped, things got really, really bad, much, much worse. It was like a delay, and I think that's to some degree it's like things are delayed in withdrawal. Things are they're so variable in withdrawal. I mentioned this in almost every video, that the variability, I think, is what amazes me about withdrawal. I talk to people, I message with people, I read stories. It's all over the place. Things come and go. Things that you didn't have, like in the first year, come in the second year. It's crazy. There is no explanation for the symptoms, their intensity, their variability, when they come, when they go. They show up, they disappear. It's just we each one heal differently. It's almost like there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm sure there is one, and it lends then to me, the variability is the greatest clue to what is actually going on in the brain, the central nervous system. And I think I have a pretty good general concept, I think, of what has happened, what the benzos cause your brain to do something, to to itself, to the central nervous system. That seems obvious to me, but getting anyone who can do any research to look into it is it's been impossible so far. But yes, it's very common for like you could do, like you said, you were driving locally before, and now you can't. You can't hardly even walk from the bedroom to the kitchen. Common. It's very common. Like the dizziness, the imbalance, I had that too. It was horrible. So yeah, I know this is hard. It's ridiculous, really, but you get through it. You do get through it. Just like I can remember, like holding on. I don't think I can hold on any longer. And I mentioned this in one of the last videos. What does it mean to not hold on anymore? I don't. Even when I was in withdrawal, I thought, well, what does that mean? Because I was thinking, like, at the beginning of my experience, after the first couple months after I quit drinking, the not holding on, and it didn't even feel like not holding on. That's when I was suicidal. That Saturday morning when I thought, I have no idea how to get through this, how to get off these drugs. I'm just a mess. I don't see how this can be done. But even that wasn't even giving up. That was just, I don't even know. It's hard to explain when you feel suicidal what it is. It's almost like this pain. I mean, there was in me, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And there was in me, but you're never going to be well. You're just never going to be well. It's not going to get better than this. You have no future. You have to do this. But then there was like the voice, no, you can't do this. You can't. But it wasn't a matter of like, I can't hold on. It was like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. But anyway, later in my withdrawal, after the whole psych hospital thing and everything, and I got off, and it's like, I would have lots of days where I can't hold on anymore, but you can. And I knew I could, but my brain's telling me I can't. But something inside of me said, you got to hold on, Don. You just, come on, man. You got to hold on. You can do this. You can do this. There was that little voice, or whatever you want to call it, inside. And I'm being your voice right now, that little voice. Like, you can do this. I did it. I did it. I'm still amazed. Like, wow, that was so incredibly difficult, but I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Really, honestly, it's not. I'm just a guy, an alcoholic that, got on tranquilizers, benzos, and got his life all messed up. And as messed up as it was, and as hopeless as it seemed, it really was not at all. There was a tremendous amount of hope there. You just get through. You can hold on. I promise you, you can hold on. And you will. Okay, I'm babbling here. Looking out the window here, there's bird feeder out there, and lots of birds coming around now. Saw a bluebird earlier. It was cool. So, I know this is difficult. You can do it, though. You're going to do it, all of you. It's just, I wish I had the answer for you. I really do. And one day someone is going to find the answer, but I'm not sure who that's going to be. Probably not going to be me, because I can't get anybody to listen to me except you, and you're in withdrawal. So anyway, I'll let you go for now. Cloudy day here. Probably going to watch a little Alfred Hitchcock in a while here, and maybe something else. Do some reading. A little bit of the general theory of relativity. I haven't looked at that in a while. I'll probably get to that. So hang in there. As always, I'm right here, and I will be right here. Bye-bye.